Hi everyone. I don't see my face anymore. I don't know what happened, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Um, so this is the weekly announcement for weeks 2 and 3, and I'm going to go over a little bit of content from this past week, which was chapter 21 on the kingdom Protista and chapter 22 on the kingdom Fungi. And the assignment I want to go over is this one right here. I had an email from a student, but I also looked at your statistics, and it appeared that this assignment was, I guess you say, like a challenging. So I do want to go over just a few. Okay. I don't want to go over every question, so I want to skip to the one that I want to go over. Here we go. So this is just a review, but sometimes it's hard to understand the classification of the kingdom Protista. And this is a good little overview of all of the groups of the Protista. So let me explain the kingdom Protista to you. Make this bigger so you can see it. The way the kingdom Protista works, first of all, okay, let's go back and talk about the classification of all living things. Remember, we start by putting them into one of the three domains. So all living things belong to either domain bacteria, domain archaea, or domain eukarya. Well, starting with chapter 21, all the organisms we study will be in the domain eukarya. That means that their cells are eukaryotic, so they have a nucleus. They're larger than prokaryotic cells. So even though some of the members of the kingdom Protista are microscopic and single-celled or unicellular, they are eukaryotic cells. So they are larger than the bacterial cells, and they're larger than the archaea. And they also have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. So when we look at the kingdom Protista, primarily it consists of protozoans, which are single-celled, and they are able to move in some way, either using flagella or cilia or pseudopods. And the other members of the Protista are the algae. So you have protozoans and algae, but they are all classified into one of the 6 supergroups. So the supergroups are the Archaeoplastida, Chromalveolata, Excavata, Amoebozoa, Opisthokonta, and Rosaria. So the Archaeoplastida include the red and the green algae. Those are the members of the kingdom Protista that are found in the Archaeoplastida. And then also land plants, which are members of the kingdom Plantae. And then we have the Chromalveolata, which includes protozoans, Straminopiles, and alveolates. There are lots and lots of those. The common examples would be, there would be the dinoflagellates, the brown algae, the golden brown algae, and gosh, there's so many. The protozoan that causes malaria, Plasmodium is the name of it. Paramecium, which are found in fresh water, and they move by cilia. Cilia covers the surface of their body, which is only a single cell. So the chromalveolates are like the largest and most diverse supergroup of the kingdom Protista. Then we have the excavata or the excavates, and that includes the diplomonads, parabasilids, and the ones that are more well known by biology students and biology teachers are the euglena. the euglena are capable of photosynthesis, but they also have flagella, so they swim. So they're like there's these little swimming plant-like, animal-like organisms, you know. So they're pretty cool to look at under the microscope. And you had a lab on the euglena, preparing a wet mount of the euglena, and so you were able to see them swimming in a little drop of water under the microscope. Then we have the amoeba, which move by pseudopods, and we have the Opisthokonta, which includes animals and fungi, and then the protozoans known as choanoflagellates. And last is the Rosaria, and I want to focus on the Rosaria because I want to go to the question on classifying Rosaria. The Rosaria include the Cercozoans, Foraminiferans, and Radiolarians. And what links them all together, the Foraminiferans and Radiolarians at least, produce a test, which is like a shell. Made of, for the foraminiferans, the shell or the test is made of calcium carbonate, which is like chalk, you know, chalky and white. And the Radiolarians have a silica, which is like glass. Both of these foraminiferans and Radiolarians, both of them, their test has holes in it, and then their pseudopods push through those holes, and they're able to move kind of like an amoeba. And the Cercozoans, I'm not sure if they produce a test, but they're called Cercozoans. So these are the three groups of Rosaria: Cercozoans, Foraminiferans, Radiolarians. So now let's move to the question that I want to go over with you, which is the Rosaria. Here we go. Okay, so this was the question, and you can see the correct answers in front of you. You are supposed to select all of the following that are members of the supergroup Rosaria. So I want to go over the answer, but I also want to go over with you because I noticed that many of you were still struggling even after you got your results back and saw the correct answer. And I think I know why. So I'm going to see if I can help you with that. All right, so what this says is the three members of the Rosaria are Pulcinella, Nummulites, and Globigerina. Okay, so I'm not even familiar, as you can tell, I'm not even familiar with these names, but I am, if you look at the description, I could tell you that this was a member of the Rosaria because it's a Cercozoan. So here's your Cercozoan, that's a member of the Rosaria, and this next one, Nummulites, produces a flattened coiled test, and that's the clue there that it's a Rosarian because the foraminiferans and Radiolarians produce a test, okay, which is like a shell. And then, and this one is one of the Radiolarians. So it produces a test that's composed of like a glass-like material called silica. And then the Globigerina is a foraminiferan, so it will also be a Rosarian. So if you look, this is what I want to show you, is this is what the answer looks like, the correct answer. I'm sorry, this is what it looks like when you go to see your, here, let me show you bigger. After you've turned in the assignment and you look at your results, will show you the correct answer, and it'll show you what you missed and what you got correct, okay? So you have to look at each answer. If it has a red X on it and you checked it, then it's not a Rosarian, okay? If it has a green check and you checked it, then it is a Rosarian. And I know this is common, this looks like common sense, but I think that it's confusing. I think it's confusing some of you, and it's understandable because it is a little confusing. This one is correct and not checked. So that means the Porphyra is not a Rosarian. In fact, I know it is a red algae. Phytophthora is correct, and you didn't check it, so it's not a rosarian. And then Globigerina is marked incorrect, and you didn't check it, so that means it is a rosarian. So the ones on here that are members of the Rosaria supergroup are the Pulcinella, the Nemolites, and the Globigerina. Okay, these are the three that are members of the supergroup Rosaria. Okay, so that's what I wanted to go over with, let's see, let me get out of this, with chapter 21, and now I want to very quickly go to chapter 22 and review the fungi with you. All right, so back in Connect, let's go to the chapter 22 interactive. And I'm going to go to the same type of question, the select all that apply. Chapter 22 interactive. All right. And I use these interactives. I don't know if you've noticed, but I use the interactives. They're like interactive tutorials. So that's what I use them for. A lot of times I'll post video tutorials. Fungal lineages. Here we go. This is what I wanted to see. All right, so these are our major groups of fungi. There's a couple that are not included, but these are the 5 most common groups that we typically study in general biology class. So these are actually not supergroups because fungi are members of the Opisthokonta supergroup. But these are phyla. So this means phylum Ascomycota, phylum Basidiomycota, phylum Chytridiomycota. The phylum Ascomycota includes the morels and truffles, which are edible, kind of gourmet fungi. You don't buy them in the grocery store. And then the yeast, and this can include yeast that you make bread and beer with, and it also includes yeast infections. So Basidiomycota include the mushrooms, puffballs, and shelf or bracket fungi. Chytridiomycota are not as well known, but there's one that causes skin diseases in frogs. Anyway, they're known as more commonly as the chytrids. And then the Glomeromycota are, we mostly recognize those as the AM fungi, and that AM stands for arbuscle mycorrhizae. Anyway, they're arbuscular mycorrhizae, I think is how you say it. But anyway, it's easier to say AM, so we're going to call them the AM fungi or the Glomeromycota, and they are primarily known for being a component of mycorrhizae, which is they have a symbiotic relationship, a mutualistic relationship with plant roots. And what they do is they sort of attach themselves and grow among and within the plant roots, and give the plant roots more surface area so that the plant roots can absorb more nutrients and water. And the Zygomycota, there's really just one that's well known, and that is the Rhizopus species, which causes black bread mold. Okay, so those are the fungal groups, and that's my review of last week's material. Now we're going to go really, really quickly to next week and just make sure everybody knows what you need to do. Week 3 is chapter 23, plants, and chapter 28, invertebrates, which are animals without a backbone. And you will see that for chapter 23. Your graded assignments are to do the Smart Book in Connect, complete your virtual labs on plants, which is a dissection tutorial because we do dissect plants, particularly the flower, and mosses and ferns, gymnosperms, and flowering plants or angiosperms. All of those virtual labs on Connect, and then the chapter 23 homework and chapter 23 homework quiz. And then you also have in Chapter 28, the Chapter 28 Smart Book, the virtual labs, which are dissections. You'll dissect a mussel, which is like a freshwater clam, a nematode or a roundworm, an earthworm, a crayfish, and a sea star. And then you'll do the Chapter 28 homework and Chapter 28 homework quiz. Now, I see that the lecture exam is not listed in there, but you do have a lecture exam due this week as well, Monday, June the 10th. And it will be 50 questions taken from Chapters 20, 21, and 22. And 60 minutes to complete those 50 multiple choice questions. All right, so I hope you guys have a great week. Email me or post to the forum and if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. All right, have a great week. Bye.